Joe Rogan's bow right here. Getting ready to put it together. First step is to mount the rest. Got it mounted perfectly level all the way around. Got the blade 45 degrees. This is going to be his arrow for Black Mamba, FMJ, match grade, every arrow plus or minus 001. Okay, when I mount the rest, I'm taking the arrow just for initial setup, putting it at 90 degrees. I want the bottom of the shaft right at the bottom line right there on the Hoyt riser shelf. Okay, from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this rest down. Notice there's a gap under the cage. I'm going to now move the cage up so that it supports the middle part of the launcher blade. Alright, so I've moved the cage up, which is one of the things to elevate rest. You can see now when it comes down, got full support in the center of the launcher. Now I'm going to take a small piece of this moleskin that comes with the rest, and I'm going to mount it right on the rubber down here so that when it's cold you don't have anything stick. Moleskin attached, so now you don't have any sticking at all with the rubber or anything else. Works super good. Okay, now as for initial center shot, the rest should come pretty close out of the package. In this case, it's running a little bit outside. You can see the arrow shaft's a little left of center. So I'm gonna loosen these and move it in. On my initial left and right adjustment, I do use the actual bracket on the post to move my left and right, so that way I have full range with my micro adjust, and I recommend using the brand new Allen wrench that comes with. Okay, so I've got my adjustments. You can see now center shot is running down the center of the limb bolt. That's what you want. You're gonna get a really good tune that way. It's pretty much tuning up right down the pipe. Now I mount the bracket for the limb driven rest on the limb. Make sure you're perfectly centered on this bracket so you don't pinch the corner of the limb, and tighten down both sides evenly as you go. With any of the brackets, make sure you're perfectly centered on the limb, and I like the bracket right at the edge of the R and the C for this particular bow. It's at a perfect place. You'll notice when you do it right, the limb protectant will kind of squish out both sides evenly off that pad. And just notice that I'm kind of at the thin spot on the limb as well, so that you know it stays tight. Okay, now I replace the nock with the actual nock Joe's going to be using, which is a nocturnal lighted nock. And I do this because you're going to want to make sure that your serving fit is proper and your nocks are right. Okay, nock fit is super good. You can see, freely spin this, and it does take some pressure to come off, and clicks on nice. Hear the click. Now I'm going to tie my nock sets. You've seen me done this before. Right here is what I'm going to use. 3D BCY. I'm going to do over and under knots, double wrap. There's a few notes I got for Joe's stuff. What his draw is on the board. Actual draw to the burger buttonhole from the throat of the nock, and his peep height as well. The reason that peep height's important is because I do like to set a peep in the string at an approximate position so that when I'm tying my knocks, my knots can be on the back portion of the string. Okay, so I got my top nock tied. Now I'm going to do my bottom nock. I got the first one done right there, and you'll notice that there is about maybe a half a mil space. Since Joe's draw is short, he doesn't have a lot of string pinch, so I don't need near the spacing with his as I do with mine, but I do need just a little bit to avoid knock pinch. So you can see there the knocks, perfect radius all the way around so it doesn't change your elevation as these turn. Gonna do the peep before I do the loop so that I can make sure the loop's tight. So I'm right at 6 inches from the top of the knock, which is where I like to measure from. Same material for the peep. I'm going to do the bottom first. Over and under knots, single ties. So single tie over, single tie under. I'm going to do that for about a 10 to 12 stack row. There's the finish. Beautifully done, if I may say so myself. Remember, flames burn up, they don't burn down, so whenever you're burning your knocks, loops, peeps, anything, have the flame on top of the string, not. Okay, when you tie your knots for your peep, make sure you tie it where the string is flat, not where it's tapered like this, so you can make sure you get it really tight. Then you can take a piece of loop material like this, wrap it around the string, pull it with both hands, and you can slide your knots up and it'll cinch them really tight up here where the string starts to split. Okay, so I just pressed the bow and I added 1 turn on the string so that the peep is perfectly centered, just like that. Now I'm going to tie my D loop. Okay, I got the knock and loop tied. I just cut the loop, I'm fuzzing it, and now I'm going to burn the last knot on the D loop. Alright, got perfect alignment, peep's dead center. Last thing I'm going to do is stretch his loop into his exact length that he needs, and this will be set. Now I'm going to take some poly rope and I'm going to go ahead and go from the limb up to the rest. I'm going to use this instead of the cable. Been liking it just a little bit better myself. So I took the rope, I burned it a little bit and pinched it at the end so I have a nice little starter so that I can feed that right through that hole. I'm going to feed it through and then I'm going to tie a knot. Tied a knot, burned the end, and that'll work perfectly just like this right here, and I can tighten down that screw now. Ran that cord up to the rest. Now I'm going to make any last micro adjusts that I need using the micro adjustability on the elevate rest and get my center shot perfectly down. Alright, the tough stuff's done. Arrow rest is installed, ready to go, and I just have to build up a few dozen arrows. Just so you know, with your wraps, make sure your hands are totally clean, no oils on your hands, and a lot of times it's nice just to use a little razor blade to get that edge lifted up so you can peel and put it face down on the pad. Okay, using the Nock On wraps, going to black and green, the wrap pad, and got it aligned here, pretty much pressing, rolling just like that, and we're ready. Alright, so I put 2 veins in a jig and I'll go ahead and clean them all the way with the Maxwell primer pen. Alright, so after I do these 2, I'll drop them and I'll go ahead and load the vein that I'm getting ready to fletch with. And what you want to do is make sure you only prime the 3 veins that you're going to use at a time. And when you're lining up your arrow for your first vein, make sure your seam right here isn't directly under your vein, because if it's under that shoe, it'll cause your vein to be cockeyed. So now we're going to go ahead and put our bead of glue. You want a thin line even all the way across, and go ahead and make sure that that's evenly spread so you can clamp it. There's an even amount of glue all the way on the vane. It's not too much. We're going to put the heel down first, and then we're going to just press it on and give it a little bit of pressure. After 20 seconds, you can go ahead and lift your clamp off and rotate to the next position and start again. Alright, I'm back at it again, going with the match grade 5mm FMJs, black Mamba style. These are shooting unbelievable. First shot, bam. That was the first shot with mine. So, dynamite. Last few things I'm going to do: trim this cord, mark his peep, mark the cams, and this baby is officially done. Alright, here is Mamba complete, shooting absolute laser beams, screaming groups, and this is everything. Those are my two slow-mo groups. Last groups right there. You go. 2.5-inch group. Code name Black Mamba is dialed in, marked, and ready. 83 pounds. This thing is spitting absolute bullets.